One of my best friends from school was killed when I was 18. That's like a red line in a life.
How does that impact you? Your book is the longest-running Sunday Times bestseller ever. How does that make you feel?
Drawing was a way of making sense of things. At any moment, I could say, here's a drawing, and it would communicate something. I sat on streets and just drew streets in Battersea. I remember a lady approached with 2 children to look at what I was drawing, and I heard her say, that's what will happen to you if you don't do your homework. And the same day, hilariously, a guy approached me and he said, you should come and see us. We run a gallery. Wow. I got so many messages from people saying, keep making my drawings. So I did, and then I thought I would do an exhibition of the drawings. 10,000 people came in 5 days.
10,000.
A lot of our lives are spent with things going on that we're processing from long ago that's deep within us. They're dark moments where things catch up with you, things you've been running from.
What have you been running from?
Courage is something so different to what the world is telling you. It's so brave to say how you feel.
This is me being courageous.
Okay.
I absolutely love you.
I love you too.
Glad you're here. What's up, everyone? Just wanted to let you know before we begin that this conversation with Charlie Mackesy is one of my favorites of all time. Now, we touch on lots of amazing topics like his career, his Oscar, his best-selling book, but we also touch on some sensitive topics like suicide. So please take care while watching. And we always want to hear what you think. So please don't forget to leave us a comment and like and subscribe. Charlie Mackesy, we need to talk.
We do, Paul.
Now, I know that you rarely do interviews.
Yeah, not often, I wouldn't think. You know, funny, I like talking a lot. I'm sometimes a bit nervous of someone interviewing me and then writing something and changing what I've said. But a direct, honest conversation is one of my favorite things.
Okay.
And I don't feel this is an interview. Like, you're not an interviewer. You're wider and bigger than that. And, you know, I feel like we since I arrived, we just have been talking and sharing stuff.
Yes.
That's not an interview.
It's not.
No, it's way better. Right.
Let's go all the way back.
Right.
Where were you born?
I was born in a little town in Northumberland, in what is now a pub. I was born on the first floor. And it's now, I think, the Red Lion in Corbridge, I think. And it was very wild, very woolly, rural Northumberland, you know.
Yes.
Which is in the borders, a lot of sheep. And incredible, the Geordies, like are the sort of Italians of Britain. They're expressive and warm, and there's a musicality to the accent, and it's beautiful.
Yes, it's melodic.
It's rhythmic, and I read Charlie, how you going? Yeah, it's all very tuneful.
Yes. What could you tell us about your parents?
My dad was really clever, and he designed ships, and we'd go to Newcastle, which is on the coast, to design and build ships. And my mum designed, when in her youth, worked in theatre. She did costume design and stuff. We lived in a small village where everyone knew everyone, and there were geese, and I think we got ringworm from some calves who were next door. It was mud everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and chickens, and chickens came in the kitchen, and
so because the north was predominantly farmland.
Yeah, this was, yeah.
So then, and this is, we're talking about what year? 19.
Well, I was born in 62.
So
70s.
Yes.
And I was at school there, and there was a mod revival. And the people in biology were all mods.
Yes.
You know, it was like that. Vespers and Parkers, and, you know, it was amazing. Like, it was amazing.
It was with, so what was your hair like then?
My hair was just blonde curly hair.
Blonde curly hair?
Yeah.
Okay. I often look back at my life.
Do you?
And I have categories based on my haircuts.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That was the pigtails day.
The pigtails. So I had a small afro, larger afro, so large that it needed to be kind of clipped down.
Amazing.
Then I went into more of a, a fade, like a box.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, and then it just got lower and lower and lower and lower and lower and lower.
But you have such a perfect skull that you don't need hair. Like it's an addition. I mean, I've worked as a sculptor and drawn people, and a good skull, a shaped skull. It's amazing.
Oh,
But you know that.
no,
Yeah, you.
no. Honestly, I promise you.
Okay.
I promise you. I've never said, Paul. The skull
Thank you very much.
is on today.
Spectacular.
Really?
Yeah.
What was schooling like for you as a little boy?
It's a really interesting question because I went to local primary schools and stuff, and then I went to age 7, a boarding school. And that was, a great school on one level, on many levels. But I was also not at home anymore. So that was tricky for me.
Yeah. And what made it tricky?
I just missed being at home. Missed going to the same bed, seeing parents, I think we all agreed when we were there that it was hard. But it was also like, it was a really good school. They taught you things, and academically, I think it was pretty good. But it was hard on that level. It was tough, which is why when I went from the all boys private school to the local state school in Hexham, which I asked if I could do.
You made that.
Decided, yeah. It was when I was 16. It was the summer holidays, and I thought, right, I just remember leaving the house and walking across the fields, across the River Tyne up to here in my grey corduroy trousers, and walked all the way to the town. Found the local school, asked where the sixth form section was, found the staff room, knocked on the door, and said, "Could I speak to the head of the sixth form?" And the guy goes, "You're all wet." And I must have looked a sight because I was just soggy, and and I said, "Yeah, but anyway, is the head of the sixth form?" He said, "Yes, she is." And he said, "Come in." And she said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, just making an inquiry whether you'd be interested in accepting the soggy 16-year-old next term." And she sat me down and said, "So where are you now?" And da-da-da. And we had a good chat, and she was really soft, and she listened,
Yes.
It's the biggest thing in the world, just to read someone and listen and try to get where they're coming from. And I said, "Look, I just would love to be at a day school, which is mixed."
Oh, I see.
It was everything, And she said, "Oh, thank you very much. We'll have a think about it and give us your address, and we'll have to speak to your parents." And they just wrote a letter saying, "We've got no reason why we wouldn't accept you." And my parents were fine. They said, "Well, that's what you want to do." They were really lovely about it. They said, "Give it a whirl."
At 16,
Yeah, man. Wow.
what? That's fascinating. At
Just
16,
like-
what gave you the conviction to make that decision?
Well, it was an instinct. I don't think I was objective about it. I'm not objective about many things. I tend to just go from an instinct about things, and I just felt I should explore this. Could be healthier. Could be,
Those moments
huge.
in our childhood, which is
Huge.
why I always like to reflect on someone's childhood. It shapes who
Right.
we are. What's so fascinating too is even when you talked about that walk to the school the first time,
Yeah,
I thought about the boy in the book
definitely.
making that
His own
walk.
course.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
yes,
right.
I
Yeah.
saw a parallel right there.
Yeah. But I had, the amazing way I was brought up was which is why in the books I draw landscapes and beauty, is because I think nature has so much to give us. There's so much you can learn from being part of it and watching it. And so for me, just walking there, I had time to think. I remember wading through the river and the smell of the water and the trees, and you could breathe, and I had time to really work out what I was doing and if it was right. And if there'd been noise, it would have been harder for me to work out what was going on, you know. So I'm always so grateful for that beauty that can calm your soul and help you think, you know.
Did you begin drawing at roughly that age?
Yeah, I remember drawing with my sister a lot when I was 7, 8, 9. My parents are brilliant. They were. We had this little room where we could make a mess in, and there was paper and crayons, and we put records on and played Simon and Garfunkel and draw, you know, make a mess. And yeah, and it became like for me, drawing then, as I got older, a sort of place to disappear into. You know, it's somewhere that I could lose myself and draw other worlds. And you know, and I sometimes would start drawing at midday, and it'd be 4 o'clock. I think, what?
Where'd the day go?
Yeah. Um, and I liked what drawing did when I showed it to people. I liked how I liked seeing their reactions to things.
Do you remember the first reaction that you got? I mean, you were drawing at such a young age, but
Well, I remember at school, one of the things I've always enjoyed is making people laugh. And I often did cartoons of the teachers.
of the teachers.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to
And
make
they get
everyone laugh.
they get passed around and then confiscated usually. And then I don't think they were nasty, but they were just sort of, you know, I can't remember what they were. And then I remember drawing a fish in a lesson, and my teacher looked at it and said, "That's a good fish." You know, it's those moments where someone says, and I suppose for me, drawing is like a language that you can communicate things beyond the words. Words came later for me in my images. And I remember going to New Orleans and going into Preservation Hall and drawing those incredibly intense jazz situations and blues, and bringing them back to London and saying, look at these guys. How beautiful are these people? You know, and I loved the fact that you could reveal a beauty that people maybe hadn't seen before.
Yes. And do you think that given your skills, let's look at the New Orleans example, which I've been, you're right, the jazz scene is
Yeah,
amazing.
insane.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you would have the words to say come back to London and describe what happened, or you wouldn't be able to do it with your words? You would have to.
I think it had to be drawings.
You'd have to draw it.
It's the intensity of the atmosphere, and I didn't feel capable. I didn't think my words would add anything to those. It's a good question. I don't know. But what I do know is that it's like such an amazing thing to make messy marks on paper that then communicates something to someone else that makes them see themselves or something in a different way. Like that to me it blows my mind. Like, why am I'm sitting in an armchair with you. How did I get here? Mainly because I'm, you know, making a mess on paper over and over and over again until it becomes something that communicates something to someone else that can move them more. And I think that journey for me, you know, people often say, so, you know, they see an end product, like you have a book there that's finished. They don't see the tens of thousands of messy drawings that didn't quite work out. But I feel now when I see them is that our messy lives, the process that we're in, is an end in itself. It's not a means to an end. Like today, right now, with my scruffy hair and our imperfections are perfect. Like it's an end in itself. But it's not. We'll never get. You see what I'm saying? So So I feel like my journey with the book and the drawings and all of this, and my house in Brixton is honestly, you can't even get in the door for drawings and
Yes.
half-finished things and things that wouldn't be worth showing you.
Yes.
But you have to do them.
Yes.
You have to go through the process and
Yes.
making mistake after mistake to get somewhere. But on that journey, at any moment, I could say, "Here's a drawing," and it would communicate something. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know what I'm saying really. I just feel on the train on the way here, I got up really early and I was thinking about this, and I was going through. I've got little sketchbooks, and I'm trying to make a journal actually for people, a blank journal that is not blank, because blank things are terrifying. So I'm doing little encouragements and pages going, try making a mess here. Like, this is a drawing and it's this little tiny squeal. But also it's perfect. It's an end in itself. Your imperfections are ends, and they're great.
Yes.
They're great.
Yes. Yes.
Good for you. Do you see what I'm saying? And like all my life, we talk about journey to this place, whereas every day, is important to live through. It's every mess you make can become something.
When did you realize this? So, for example, when you talked about the journey, you were talking about how you took in the moment and absorbing the smell and
Yes.
looking at the trees. So, are you telling me that at 16, at 17, you were fully present in the moment as you are today?
Not always, but I remember moments when I really was, because I can remember them. So I remember being on a landscape in Northumberland, looking on the horizon at some trees. I remember thinking, if I go there now, I'll disappear into them and just be part of it. So from here where I stand, I couldn't see me there. And so therefore I am part of nature. We're all part of this. We're not, because I think we'd somehow divorced ourselves.
Yes.
I don't know why we did that. But I'm thinking, we're all just part of this. I remember thinking to myself, I'll remember this forever, wherever I end up. I remember breathing, there's a breeze, a warm summer breeze that would come up the valley. You could smell everything, the heather, and I'm thinking, I will always, always keep this. This landscape will always stay in me.
I tell you, to have that ability to tap into the moment is something that so many of us as adults are trying to figure out.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Yes. I mean,
I'm not better at it now.
Oh, you know, okay.
I don't know, Paul. I hope, but it is something we should seek.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm.
But I'm wondering, did you believe that art could be a profession
Oh, no.
or no?
It was never on the smorgasbord of choice. You read about artists, and they had precarious lives, and it wasn't really a career choice. I always was drawn to people who made things with their hands, either farmers or a dry stone waller. There was a line by Genesis, the band, that said, "I'd rather trust a man who works with his hands. You can see by his eyes, he understands." But it's something you go through in the making of things that's difficult. And I remember, going and staying with one of my best friends from school, who was a farmer, and working the harvest there and loving it, and loving the connection with the land. And we'd sit on the bales at night, and it was amazing. And then he was killed. Jamie, he was killed when I was 18. So that was another one of those
Moments.
Oh yeah, that's like a red line in a life.
How does a friend at such a young age who's 18
Yeah.
and is killed, how does that impact you?
Grief does strange things. And for me, I suppose, in retrospect, it was like being bitten by a snake whose venom did new things every day. I didn't know what my next day was going to be like. So I did, in retrospect, a lot of things in reaction to that that were not great. And I remember putting him in the lowering, seeing him beat. Well, I didn't. He was low when he was lowered into the ground. It's wondering what life was going to be like now. Like, didn't make any sense. And one of the things I did do was I got a lift to London in someone's car. And I remember just going out and I remember getting some paper and a pen, started drawing. And I couldn't stop. I sat on streets and just drew streets in Battersea, and I wandered London, and the odd person offered to buy them, brand them for a couple of quid, and so I'd sell. And I lived like that.
Was
But that was all in reaction to a death. Drawing was a way of making sense of things. And then the Walkmans arrived, so
yes.
so I put the Walkman in my ears and listened to Joe and I'm Trading and listened to the same songs over and over again and found myself drawing and crying. So it was a sort of a therapeutic journey of, then my sort of words come to an end because I was doing something I didn't quite understand. And I suppose I was a bit like Forrest Gump, who couldn't stop. I just kept moving and drawing and moving and drawing. So I think at the time I just thought, well, oh well. So it's not a very lucrative profession, but I like it.
So I'm going to do
I'm
it.
going to do it. And I'm just going to throw caution to the wind because
Why not?
why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
But in the back of your mind, it sounds like you're still saying, but I'll get a proper job later.
Still not. Paul, this is the mad thing is I always think, really? Sure about it? And I'm glad. I'm so utterly grateful to all the people that approached me for those 4 years of, honestly, of sitting, making drawings. And I remember becoming obsessed with the Royal Albert Hall. I did it so many times that I can do it with my eyes shut. Like, I love that building. But people would approach me and say, so what do you, that's interesting. Oh, well, well, if you finish it, can we see it? And, and I lived like that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was mad.
And where were you living?
Good question. To begin with, I stayed with my sister, and then, then I remember just renting a room and just moving around, and I met people and stayed with them, and then rented places to stay. And then I remember a guy approaching me, looked at the drawing and said, yeah, you should come and see us. We run a gallery. Gave me his address. And in the same day, hilariously, a lady approached with 2 children to look at what I was drawing. And she looked at it, and then they looked at it, and they walked away. And I heard her say, that's what will happen to you if you don't do your homework.
Wow.
So I had all this going on, like people saying, he's on the street, well, don't do that. And yet I was seeing a gallery in the afternoon who then, well, I thought when she said it, I thought it was quite funny because I thought, well, yeah, she's probably right. I should have done my homework. But I ended up in this gallery, and they offered me a show, and I did a show, and it went all right. And then they took me to Manhattan, and I did a show in Manhattan, and then I ended up staying there. It was a sort of hand-to-mouth existence, just trusting instinct and seeing where it took me.
Yes.
And not having any knowledge of what was to come.
And would you say that was your proper training ground, if you will, because you weren't classically trained?
No, it wasn't. I think the encouragement of strangers. I just think the tiniest act of kindness can launch a career. Like, it can propel someone for the next year if you just say, well then, mate, you're doing good for you. It can just be a whisper. I remember hearing about a teacher who was at a parents' evening, and he was talking to a mum, and he was retiring, this teacher. He was an art teacher, and she had her kids at school. And the mum said, you don't remember me, do you? I was here. And he said, oh, no, what was your name? And she told him her name, and he went, oh, yeah, I do remember you. You were great. And she said, but you don't remember that day that I'm going to tell you about. He said, what day? She said, well, I decided that day that was my last day alive. And I came to say goodbye to everyone at school. And you were my last lesson. And she said, you came past us and you stopped and saw my drawing. And you said, oh, well done. That's beautiful. Don't give up. And walked on. And she said, "You saved my life, so thank you." And I remember hearing that, thinking, well, there's a fragility in us that we can all encourage, and it doesn't take a lot. Like, it can be tiny. And for me, my whole life was spent on responses to tiny actions that kept me drawing, whether it was my sister or people who said, "Good for you," and it wasn't like da da da.
Right.
You know what I mean? Didn't need to be this. It was just enough. And the drawings weren't great, but next day did something better, and he da da da. And I think for me, my whole life has been spent interacting and listening and being encouraged by or encouraging others, because we need it.
We do.
We need it. Like look at you doing this podcast with however many people it is that listen to you, that change their lives. Like, you got here somehow, and people are listening to it, and all these people you have through here, and every day they go, "I can breathe now."
Yes. And when you talked about the act of kindness, literally what came to mind was, it was an act of kindness that got me here.
Was it? Okay.
Yes. And then I look back, it was an act of kindness that put me in the position here. You're absolutely right. It's these little, yeah, all the way through.
Yeah.
All the way through. So with Manhattan, this is your first time abroad, right? At that point.
Yeah. I'd been on holidays, but I hadn't been.
Yes.
So I was terrified when I got there.
What year is this in Manhattan?
That exhibition was 1987.
All right. So I was in New York.
No.
Yes, I was in New York then.
No, we could have walked past each other. I love that. With your page.
Go beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
Yes, I was there. So, all right, so Manhattan.
Yeah, amazing.
Late 80s. There's a lot going on.
Wow, it was wild.
Some people would say that was the heyday too.
You could feel the intensity of it. Like, it was so energetic, and anything was possible, and anybody talked to anyone.
Yes.
It's like, and again, I did the same thing. Like, I had a base, which was this gallery, and they showed my drawings, but most of the time I was wandering around, staring at everything and going into places. And what I loved about the New Yorkers was they were so brilliantly rude, but in a funny way.
Yes.
Like, I remember being on the subway, and this guy goes, he was this incredible looking black guy, like beautiful, like with a hat on. He looked at me, he said, "You want a hand with those bags?" And I said, and I did, but I said, "Oh, no, I'm fine, thanks," because I was, English. And I remember walking quite a lot when I got out somewhere. I was walking quite a long way, and I saw him again. He said, "You should have said yes. I'd have given you a hand, man. Just don't be proud."
Mm.
I went, wow.
Yes.
That was a huge moment. But I was like learning all this stuff and scared. Scared. It was quite frightening on one level being there. It's
daunting.
It was daunting, and
Yes.
you heard all these stories. You would know all about it. Like, it's just this visitor just turning up.
It's New York. So many people try to compare New York to London, but I think
no.
they're entirely different.
No.
Yeah, they're entirely different. Now in New York, though, you said someone brought you over. It was a gallery.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So were you still then going to the streets, drawing?
Now and again, I did that in Manhattan.
You do that in Manhattan?
Yeah, I remember doing these big drawings over the street, and yeah, Broadway and stuff.
Yes.
Fascinated by it, like, what? But it was also kind of walkable those days. It's really.
How did then America inform your art?
That's a really good question. Like, I think well, I was obsessed with the jazz clubs, and I think their response to making music and their freedom and love and the energy there, they when I was drawing them, I learned a lot about drawing just because they move me. So I always say to people, when people say, I really wish I could draw, I say, well, you can draw, just not like anybody else. So just you do you. And I remember seeing these guys and they were just they were free. And that jazz was something they were just doing. They were you doing you in a really big way.
Yeah.
Because they just were like off the scale.
Yeah, I'm a big jazz lover,
Are you?
and been to many of the jazz clubs in New York in particular, and improvisational jazz was big, where you just have the saxophonist doing his thing, you know, you have the trombonist doing his thing, the pianist doing her thing, and
Amazing.
and you're right, everyone's just they're improvising, and it's beautiful.
How they're such strong individuals improvising but working with each other.
Yes.
That's a crazy thing.
It sounds like America gave you more confidence.
It's a good point that I've not really considered. I think America and France were two cultures that were really encouraging towards making art. In England, I suppose, if you put yourself in different situations, England is more like, oh, you're making a drawing, that's nice. It's fine. In America, it was, yeah, man, here, come on. Do it, just do it. And when I drew in Paris sometimes, when I used to get the train there, you get a crowd of people discussing the drawing because drawing was such a crucial part of their culture.
The culture, yes.
And I do think that none of us really know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Do we really? We're just sort of winging it every day.
We are. I mean,
I just don't know what I'm doing.
That is so profound, Charlie, because to this day, I will tell my sons I'm still trying to figure out who I want to be when I grow up.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, you're doing very well.
No.
Well, you're magnificent. But I think that's right. I think none of us know. And it's very easy for us to look at you and all your amazingness and go, well, or anyone. But really, we're all just kind of winging it and doing our best, but not really being anything more than clueless.
Exactly.
And it's okay.
And
that's really fine.
It is okay. But it's incredibly hard in a society that tells us we should have the plan, we should know,
Yes, have a clear plan that's right.
Yes, and I feel that that's very American as well.
Is it?
Or should I say it's very West
Okay.
centric, it feels.
Yes, West centric, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not more Eastern culture. But from what I understand is you traveled all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And lived, because you lived in, was it South Africa?
I did live in Cape Town.
In Cape Town? So what allowed you, it was your art, clearly.
Yeah, I was just quietly making enough to keep exploring.
Okay.
And I kept thinking there's something else to learn here. I had some of the most profound experiences I've ever had were actually in Zimbabwe, where I was the first white person to pluck tea on a plantation in amongst 400. And I got to know them. And they were some of the most extraordinary people I've ever met, without question. And, there was so much poverty and suffering. There was so much, cerebral malaria was massive there. The HIV rates were, it was like, God. But the spirit of those people and blew my mind in terms of what they knew was true and what life was and the value of it. And so I guess I wanted to find out from other cultures if I could learn. But I didn't know I was doing that. If someone said, what are you doing? I go, I'm just mucking about. You know what I mean? It's like it wasn't being, but I think they all gave me this understanding that wealth was on the inside. I think, it's funny for talking about, because I don't think I really, really objectively realized that until I'm sitting here. because I was, going to all these places and
I feel as if you are describing everything you saw there.
yeah, I think probably
Now you're traveling. Obviously, you've lived in different areas.
yes.
Can we talk about how you moved to Brixton? Because this is early on in my my UK escapade. So when I got here, I'll never forget. I said, "Where's the Jamaican food? Where's the good Jamaican food?"
Right.
Right, and everyone told me it's Brixton. It's Brixton. So we get into a taxi. Myself, my wife, and my two boys.
Okay.
Immediately, he says, "Why do you want to go there?"
Yeah, I used to have that.
With that shriveled up face. Why would you want to go to there?
Little did they know.
Little did they know. That's what, yeah, it is epic. So
Yeah.
if we can, we should give some Brixton some spotlight. What got you there? What do you love
Okay,
about it?
so I used to go there a lot. I used to go to the academy and see bands, and friends used to live there. So I was always being drawn there for whatever reason, and I always liked the energy. And I didn't know it very well. I just again did all my wandering around and end up in Brockville Park. I just met all these people. Everybody seemed very chatty,
Yes.
really engaging, and so and do just an eclectic mix of the diversity was just so just intense, and you never know who you're going to meet next. And I've been there ever since.
Super.
25 years later.
Look at that.
And what's incredible is like this. You come out of my street, and on the corner on Brixton Hill is a cafe that is one of the most stunning communities you can possibly imagine. Of every type of person you can think of is there, sharing lives and talking and listening, and from lawyers to homeless people to addicts to actors to writers to nannies to nurses. It's just like this, and everyone seems to congregate there and move through it. And I have never known anything like that in London.
I've never known anything like that in the world.
I think it's very rare. I think we all
Yes.
say it. We think, wow,
Yes.
we have something here that we need to really look after. And it's the place I put my big painting on the wall of. I did it on the outside. What do you want to be when you grow up? Kind to the boy.
Yeah.
That's the place.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's in Brixton. And I went there a lot making the book, and I was haggard and harrowed. And my house, actually, at the time, like what's interesting about making both books is that the first book, I lost my dog, my lovely Dill, who was my soulmate. All the electrics blew in the house, so I had one socket to live on, and to scan all the drawings, everything. And because the electrician said, you'll need to rewire the house, and you look like you're busy. I said, yeah, I can't. So I was going to the cafe a lot to make drawings in there. He never wants me, Anton, who runs it, never wants me to pay for a coffee ever. And it was a tough time. I lost a friend during it seems to be. And the second book, I lost my other dog. My mum died.
Oh, wow.
I lost both times. I think that the suffering that goes on in the making of them does something to the book itself. I don't know quite why that happens, but even like my car was broken into a year ago, and loads of drawings are stolen from it for the book, stuff like that. And I think maybe when you're, one of the dangers of making things is that you don't have integrity with yourself or the thing you're making. I think you can you can skirt over things. I think suffering doesn't let you do that. It sort of pulls you back into reality, you know.
Paul's about to show you a presentation he made in Adobe Express, so you better be nice.
You might not know this, but I am the proud co-owner of the mighty Sutton United Football Club. And this year, I had the honor of designing our away kit. First things first, Sutton Amber, black, the crest, the fonts, locked in with our sponsor, Adobe Express's brand kit. I was presenting to the board, and the story I wanted to tell was that we're modern. We're sleek. Yes, we were founded in 1898, but we're still a club that belongs in 2025. I wanted everyone, from a 10-year-old to a 90-year-old in the stands to say, I want that. All over Sutton United script pattern. Mono crest, amber trim. I obsessed over the collar.
Okay, Paul, are you ready?
Yes! 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 Look at that! Look at that! That is it! That is it! Yes.
Got a pitch to make? Adobe Express is the quick, easy, and free app to create anything, like this presentation.
You know that feeling when you've just committed to starting something big and then it hits you. How am I going to pull this off? When I started my matchmaking business, I remember sitting at the kitchen counter one night with my computer and 15 tabs open, trying to figure out how I should market and sell our services. It was pretty overwhelming, and that continued for a lot of the first year. And I look back now and think if I'd only had our sponsor, Shopify, on board, I'd have had a much softer start to entrepreneurship. Shopify helps you sell your business, but also makes you look and feel like you've been doing it for years. It has hundreds of templates to pick from and AI tools that help you with writing product descriptions or enhancing photos. Sort of like having a full-time team before you've made your first hire. If you're starting something big, visit shopify.co.uk/need-to-talk to sign up for your £1 per month trial. That's shopify.co.uk/need-to-talk. This is the perfect time now to go deep into one of the best-selling books of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Which was never an intention.
That's even now, full, understanding so far about your life, I can see that this was definitely not an intention. 2019.
Mm-hmm.
How does the idea for the book come about?
Oh, Paul, well, it never meant to be a book. I never thought it would be. I didn't think I could make a book. What it was a series of days of saying, I'll do this today. I'll do another drawing tomorrow. And so I did this drawing when I got home, and it was just the boy and the mole. I'd already sort of fashioned out these characters a bit. And the mole just said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I thought, how about it just be kind? So I just wrote kind. And I posted it. I had a little social media, I had Instagram, and got this reaction, like, really shocking. And at the same time, I was talking to...
And I'm sorry, that reaction was lots of people, commenting?
Crazy, and being shared everywhere, right?
Okay.
And I was a bit taken aback by it. When I got really anxious and really low and was struggling, I remember seeking help for the first time and asking about it rather than just, putting my head in the sand. What is this? Why do I feel this? And it was a really hard thing to do. So I'd made this drawing of this strong-looking horse and the boy asking, what's the bravest thing you've ever said? And the horse who says, help. So I did the drawing, scribbled it out, and then posted that. And again, this insane reaction. I got requests from the Canadian military, from hospitals in Australia saying, can we use this for whatever? And I went, yeah, fill your boots, please. What a privilege that you're asking me, And so these drawings were sort of being used in different places, and particularly with men, and American footballers and all these people were sort of using it to say it's not weakness to ask for help, it's a strength. It's a courageous act. It's a brave thing to do if you're struggling. And so I was then getting emails from people saying, my boy has been suicidal. He saw that drawing and he asked So I'm thinking to myself, just keep making these drawings because someone somewhere in the world is. But again, never thought it'd be a book.
Never thought it'd be a book.
No,
And you said you had the characters already though, so
no,
But-
they came bit by bit. So it was the boy and the mole first, and then the fox arrived at night. And there were other characters in the mix. There were other things, but they didn't feel right. And then they met the horse. So there were 4, and they all seemed to reflect different parts of me, and probably others
yes.
that I wasn't consciously aware of. But the other ones fell away because of that they're not clear enough in what they're representing.
Okay. So the boy, clearly the curiosity.
Curiosity, just questions,
that's
quite
right.
fearful, wondering what life's about.
Now I understand. You are the boy.
Yeah, I think I'm asking questions all the time.
Yes.
What is this and how and why? And yeah.
You are like
Quite annoying, probably. I keep funny, Paul, because I remember being at school. I remember in chemistry, Mr. Lewis, he was called, the teacher, and I remember putting up my hand at the back, and he said, "Yes, Mackesy," and I said, "Why are we doing this?"
yes.
And it was a moment, because it wasn't like I was disagreeing with it. I just wanted to know why we were doing any of this. And I suppose maybe the boy has always been asking, like, what's why and what matters, what doesn't matter.
The curiosity.
The curiosity doesn't end.
The curiosity.
You're just digging away, aren't you? Finding
Constantly.
unearthing things.
Constantly.
The mole. I mean, I like the mole makes you laugh because the boy, his obsession with cake, and reaching, like when things are difficult, we reach for comfort in various ways. We default to. I know I do. Like it's not necessarily cake, but it'd be watching the same film over and over again. Whatever it is that releases something in a quarter, whatever it is that makes us feel okay.
Yes.
And then the horse, I think, is probably the bit that felt like the deepest part of us, the soul of us, the bit that's always been there and always will be the same. It's the wisest bit of us.
Yes.
And then the fox, I realized, was the damaged part that circumnavigates anyone before they get close, that doesn't trust very easily, that that is aggressive out of fear.
Okay.
And whose arc is, I find, the most moving because it's their love that pulls the fox right in.
Yes.
And love changes you, reprimands don't. And so I think, and I don't really think, like I didn't really realize this until a journalist said so clearly these 4 parts. And I went, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm not clever enough, Paul, to be that objective. It all comes from somewhere else within me, and so I have to look back and go, oh, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so in a way, those 4 characters just then started interacting with each other, and I was always quite surprised by what they were saying. And then I think a year or 2 years later, mainly on Instagram, I mean, I've loved my journey with them. They're always so, honest. The DMs are so honest, and then I got so many messages from people saying, I'm thinking about not being here. All these raw messages, but keep making the drawings and stuff. So I did, and then I thought I would do an exhibition of the drawings. So I hired a space in the West End of London, and I did a little thing on Instagram saying I framed 70 of these, come along. And my mum came, my sister came, family came. I thought maybe, and like I think it wasn't like crazy. I think someone in the street or the gallery next to me said they reckon there were 10,000 people came in 5 days.
10,000.
Yeah, you couldn't get in there, and I was a bit like, and I met people there. A lot of people. I remember quite a few girlfriends brought their surly boyfriends along. And one guy in particular, she was 5 foot and he was like 6 feet. He was huge. And she remember her saying, I can't forget his name. And he was just nodding and his eyes were full of tears, looking at me. And he just said, thank you. And then I got up, I remember, because I was hiding behind the desk, went and gave him a hug. And then he just walked out. And that evening was someone who said, I work with Penguin. I think we should try and make a book. And I said, really? I don't know. Maybe, but I'm not against it. Okay. So I then met up with her and, we just, again, instinct pushing along, trying to find a semblance of a narrative. But I didn't feel it ever needed to be a clear story. I felt like it was a story. It was a story about connection and emotion rather than events. That the events seemed to me to be secondary to what they were discovering within themselves. I think most discoveries are internal.
Yes. Yes.
Never once did we think, I wonder how many people will buy it. But the intention was make something that helps people in some way feel more alive, more connected, less isolated, and gives them the courage to reach out and say help, give them the courage to say, I love you, gives them the courage just to say, I need you, to show that, when have you been at your strongest? When I've dared to show my weakness. It's like courage is something so different to what the world is telling you. It's so brave to say how you feel. It's so brave to ask help. It's so brave to be vulnerable. And I think shame is the thing that keeps us all from doing that. We all want to feel connected.
Yes.
And yet vulnerability is one of the most powerful ways of being connected. But shame will prevent that happening. Showing my mum the drawings. I had a ring binder, I still have, sitting down with her saying, what do you think of this order? And she would run her fingers over it and look at it. And I could tell she had Alzheimer's, so you should have to feel, and she loved them all. And every day I saw her, she'd say, well, hello, said them all. And so it was all this going on. And we managed to do the deadline in the end. And then it came out that October
So
19.
So October 19, which is 5 months before
The world folds in on itself, yeah.
right, COVID hits us.
The pandemic, yeah.
Pandemic hits us hard.
Yeah.
How do you believe the pandemic impacted the reception of the book?
It's a question I've been asked before, and I think by the time the pandemic arrived, a lot of people were reading the book. It wasn't like they read it because of the pandemic, but when the pandemic came, I think it was a source of, just from the emails I got, hundreds of thousands in my own inbox going through my website. And what else was I doing? So I would read them. And I've saved so many. And I have a file. And from a doctor in an ICU COVID ward saying, your drawings are keeping us alive. We read your book every morning. A nurse saying, 2 of my co-nurses have died this week. I'm terrified. We don't have any PP. It was early days, March 20. But I hold your book and I read a page every night. Just crazy stuff that I would, if someone had given me a brief saying, make a book that does this, I wouldn't even begun. So
how does that make you feel, Charlie, to know that you've created something that has reached in and touched the soul of millions of people?
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is that it hasn't reached everyone, and that's, how could it? And it's fine. I'm sure there are many detractors and critics of it, and of course, like, that's great and fine, But for those it has, it feels nothing but privilege and gratitude, and it moves me very deeply that I'm not that wise. I'm not, I'm just this bloke who felt things and wrote them down and dug a bit, looked around for meaning. And I find it, sometimes I get overwhelmed, but like in the early year, the 2020, it did overwhelm me, and I cried a lot randomly. Both reading the stories, which are harrowing, but also knowing that someone somewhere felt better because of it.
Yes.
So it's this kind of double-edged thing. And also this question of how on earth did that happen? What?
How do you, I mean, you must have thought about how it happened. And when I say it happened is, you probably won't like this, but can we talk about the commercial success just a little bit? Because not only has it had such a profound emotional impact, but the all-out reception, I think, is amazing. It's amazing. So 2025, by 2025, right, the book is sold. And by the way, I don't think we've even clearly given, it's The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse.
Yes.
It sold approximately 10 million copies. 10 million copies. It has been on the Sunday Times bestseller list over 207 times, making your book the longest running Sunday Times bestseller ever. In the US, the book has spent 231 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. And your book has been translated in over 50 languages. So how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel the same things as if one person has written to me and told me that's kept them alive. Okay, so hold that in one hand.
Okay.
In the other hand, imagine me at Cheltenham Literary Festival. My first time I spoke about the book, and I was signing them, and the last person in the queue who'd been standing for an hour and a half was an 18-year-old boy who was standing there, and he didn't have a book in his hand for me to sign. And I said, "Hello, are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "You waited a long time?" And he said, "Sure." And I said, "Can I help you?" He said, "I just want you to know that I decided to stay." And I said, "Like in the queue?" He said, "No, I decided to stay. I'm alive. I wanted just to tell you that because that's what the book did. So thank you." And I'm looking at him, and then he said, "Yeah." And there was a long pause. He said, "I asked for help when I wasn't going to." And he had tears in his eyes, and then I had tears, and then I just sat there. I'm just thinking, if we'd done all this for this boy, I'd have done it just for this boy. If we just sold one, I'll take that. And I stood up and I gave him a hug, and we sobbed a lot, and then I've never seen him since. So what I'm trying to say is, those figures are amazing, and I'm grateful, and they amaze me and surprise me, and it's enabled me to do a lot of things. I have friends who don't have much. I can do all the things I couldn't do before. I've rewilded some land and planted thousands of trees. I've done all this stuff that I wouldn't have been able to do before. But the success to me is genuinely is the left hand, is that. Because we don't live very long. And at the end of it, what are you glad of? Do you know what I mean? Like, I would swap those figures for that.
For that, yes.
Yeah, of course, because that's meaning.
Yeah. And you knew that at 18.
Yeah, so meaning is the thing. What has meaning and what doesn't. And I'm not anti-money. I just think it can help you do all kinds of great things. But I think for me, that what goes into my heart and what I'm always grateful for is these people who I meet, sometimes on the street. And there's a guy who came up to me the other day. He must have been in his 90s. And he goes, "Oh, yeah, you're the mole bloke. Are you the guy, the mole bloke?" And I went, "Yeah." And he gripped my hand. And he had tears in his eyes. His hands just shook. I said, "Well done, mate. Do another. And then shuffles off. And then another woman who's, I know, works with kids who have rough, tough lives. And she texted me and said, "Okay, so your book helped some of my boys it gave them permission to be kind. Make another one and bloody hurry up." This is a couple of years ago. And it's that because all these lives, like what's going on, you'll never know. And that's the great thing about a book, or you make something, you make a cake that someone else eats, or, whatever we do, is that it's busy while you're eating spaghetti, watching the telly. Yeah. So these things, someone might be pulped by now or in secondhand shops. Someone somewhere might be reading one going, this is working.
Yeah. It's the reception, the emotion that came from the reception. Is that what then inspired the film?
Probably. Because I used to lie in bed a lot and look at the ceiling and could see the film. I could see scenes from it. And often used to wonder what it would look like if the boy moved, and if there was music added, and if the snow was really falling. And some people I know don't read. And so it would be another iteration that would reach different people. And so I thought, yeah, we should try and do this. But I was always worried that it would be made in the way that wasn't really done in the way I would have dreamt of. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
I was always scared that it would be.
Man, but you've never made a film before.
No. Clueless. The one thing I had seen before in filmmaking was Richard. In his office, Curtis, he has Post-it notes. And he writes words and bits and moves them around.
How does this happen? Because that in itself seems like that could be a movie.
I love him.
But
he's the kindest, funniest man you'll ever meet.
I mean, Notting Hill, For Weddings and a Funeral, Mr. Bean, I understand. Love Actually.
For Weddings, Love Actually. I was on the set. I drew for him on Love Actually. We auctioned all the drawings for Comic Relief. How did I meet Richard?
Yes, and how do you land on the set?
I know.
Actually,
I don't know. It was, like I think in life, if you stay up and you meet people, you meet other people, and I knew I was a good friend of Paige, who's a friend of mine I met in London, and she married Matthew. So I got to know Matthew, and Matthew's sister Emma was Richard's girlfriend. You just end up getting to know people, and years later you still know them, and you're doing stuff.
You land on the set of Love.
Yeah, I mean, my journey with Comic Relief and Richard has been really one of the most moving things, because if you can share what you do, whatever it is you do, and so we made T-shirts and for Comic Relief and made silly money. So it's been such a treat for me to say, okay, use me, and I'll do drawings, we've done lots.
So with Love Actually, I was late to the Love Actually train.
I love Actually.
Because when I got here to the UK, everyone said, "Look, have you seen Love Actually? You have to see it."
Did they? Yeah.
Right? There's during Christmas. You must watch this. And so I didn't the first year. I didn't the
it's a
second year.
Christmas film. Yeah.
I didn't the third year. By the fourth year, I decided, let me sit down. And now I watch it every Christmas.
Oh,
Every Christmas.
so sweet.
What was so your role on that set was to draw.
Yeah.
To draw what?
I did drawings of the behind the scenes. Hugh Grant having makeup on, Rowan Atkinson having costumes. I just drew everyone, doing normal things, eating and chatting. Did a lot of drawings of Liam and Rowan and Richard in discussion about a scene.
Okay.
I also witnessed some really remarkable things on this. I like watching Richard draw out of Rowan what he was looking for, take after take after take at 3 a.m. in Selfridges when Rowan was being the shop, the guy who sold
Yes.
all that stuff. I watched it. It was like, I think just watching gifted people work with each other. It's such a moving, but working so hard and failing and trying. That scene was shot, 30 times.
Wow.
And you go, okay, so it isn't that easy.
Yes.
These things are not that easy.
Yes.
And I suppose what making my film with 200 other people on Zoom, mainly during lockdown, was really intense because they worked so hard at it, and it was difficult. And it was 24 frames a second. Every frame was hand drawn.
Yes. Can I say something that I truly appreciate? The boy in the film seems to me to be racially
Yes.
and ethnically ambiguous.
Yes.
This is coming from a man of color who
Yes.
was a little boy of color.
Yes. I wanted him to be from anywhere.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I know.
Because I grew up very rarely seeing any,
Right.
especially animated characters,
Yeah.
who look like me.
Right.
And so those characters always felt like a distance, like looking at, say, Charlie Brown,
Yeah, right.
It was, Charlie Brown. I could never be Charlie Brown. I could be friends with Charlie Brown, but I can't be Charlie Brown.
Right.
But watching your film, I could see, because I watched it with my boys, 11 and 14, they could see themselves
Could they really?
in the boy, and I think
Because
that's
because
important.
the boy is obviously me, but we wanted to push the boy to be anyone.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah, very important.
Thank you.
Very important. And so I could see that was something that you contemplated,
We tried to do it from every angle possible.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's far from perfect. It could have been a lot better had we had another 5 years and another X pounds. Could have made a better film.
Sure. Well,
It
the film did all right.
it-
I mean, you won a little Oscar for it. That's, I mean,
again, not a goal. Not even. I mean, for me, the great achievement would be managing to finish it. And that for a long time we didn't think we would. And I remember when the BBC were thinking about showing it at Christmas, I thought that was the most mind-blowing thing imaginable. Which it was. In the same breath, I had the bizarre experience of being at the Oscar nominees' lunch in Hollywood, thinking that it was going to be one thing, and then getting there and sitting at the table with all these nominees who had anything but easy, glamorous lives.
You know what I love is you mentioned that in your Oscar speech.
Do I?
Yes. At the very end of your Oscar speech.
I can't. I'm so tired. I can't remember what I said.
Oh my goodness. It was beautiful. It's beautiful. Matter of fact, you have to read the comments. Have you read the comments?
No.
You must read. So on the official Oscar YouTube,
Okay.
the clip is there. And the comments are just like, Charlie needs to win a Nobel Peace Prize.
No, they don't.
No, I promise you. There are
I
there's
don't. I can barely wash my hair or get my shoes on. I'm not.
It's like he needs to win, but you at the very end you say something along the lines of, that this is a room filled with people.
Oh yeah, I remember feeling that.
Yes, That was, you remember what you said there?
I remember something about them being brave.
Yes.
I think to make anything, I think making a film is brave. I think there's so much. It's so hard to make. I mean, for every film that's made, there's thousands who don't make it. You know, like it's a very tough thing, and they're brave people, and they're putting themselves on the line, and nothing is easy. You know, the Oscars like the most surreal, amusing, great thing. It's almost wasted on me.
But maybe in part one of the values of the Oscar is that it then widens out the audience, so more people will be touched by the film.
Paul, you're absolutely right. So I find talking about this, like normally I don't. Normally I reply to emails and I carry on and have a coffee, and I tend to sort of quietly keep all this within me and save the emails and don't talk about it because part of me feels like I'd break if I really did take really. Do you know what I mean? Like it's.
Yes.
So it's that kind of thing that makes you go, okay, sale this, Oscars, beautiful, thank you, but
Right.
not really. They're just an indication of something.
Yes.
They're a litmus test. They're a marker of some sort. And I think that's what made making the next book. I think, there was a moment in the pandemic where people wrote to me and said, I just cannot see how I'm going to get through this. I can't see a way through this. And I remember writing something saying, can you see your next step, however small? And they went, yeah, I can see that. I said, just take that. So I then drew that.
I see.
And put that in the book.
This is
This is a new book. So that page is in that. So a lot of the drawings from the pandemic are in this book.
Are coming. So this is Always Remember.
Yeah.
This is the new one, and this is a continuation of the story. So we get the same. We get the mole, the fox, the horse, the boy.
The book came out before the pandemic, and then during the pandemic, ensuing years, I was still drawing. I remember thinking, do we make another book? Do we? We don't need to. I don't have to. But I remember thinking, if it feels right and there's enough to say, we'll say it.
I know that you introduce
a weasel. That's the kind of the ground zero of the book, is when the boy's deepest fear is probably, abandonment. And so in the first bit, he's asking a lot of questions like, what happens if I lose you? And the horse says, we're forever even if I'm not here. And then there's a suggestion of the storm. And then the storm hits. The horse says, when the storm comes, just remember who you are. And it does. And the boy says, this storm is making me tired. And the horse says, storms get tired too, which was a pandemic drawing that was on lampposts in LA and like hospitals in Sydney and stuff, like weird things to see. And then the weasel, as you say, says, oh, what are you doing here? And the boy says, I lost my friends. And the weasel says, well, that was careless. Are you sure they didn't lose you? Would they have left you if they loved you? So it's that deep thing you get, like, my fault. Oh, why did they? Was it something I said? Did I do something? Have I done? I screwed up, didn't I? I must have done. It's like, this is why I've ended up here. It's my fault, my fault. And it's that. But the next page is when he tries to remember. I know my mind can play tricks on me and tell me I'm no good, that it's all hopeless. But I need to remember who I am. And I wrote those words in a separate page.
Yes.
That I am loved, my identity, I am loved, that I'm important, and I bring to this world things no one else can. So I'll hold on. He chooses to hold on because he remembers who he is.
Who he is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
in the darkest time. Remember.
Let me ask you something. When was the last time you really thought about how you love? Not who, how. Most of us don't. We're moving fast, doing life, hoping love just shows up and sticks. But that's not how real connection works. That's not how lasting love works. So I've created something different, and it's called Love Better, and I'm taking it on tour starting October 26th. This is a live experience for anyone who wants to build a deeper, more meaningful connection. We'll unpack the lessons from the couples you've seen me coach. I'll share stories I've never told on camera, and you'll walk away with the tools that you can use right away. Come solo, bring a partner, bring your crew. Everyone's welcome. I'm coming to Bristol, Brighton, Cardiff, Glasgow, Manchester, Birmingham, and London for one night in each city. Tickets are almost sold out, so grab yours now through the link in the description. I can't wait to see you there. As you're writing this and illustrating,
Yeah.
would you say that the darkest period of your life was happening while you were creating either this book or the first book? Was that the darkest period?
I don't think it was.
What was the darkest? If we could tap into.
But they stay with me.
Yes.
I have memories that they're dark moments where, you know, things catch up with you, things you've been running from, and it causes this. What do I do with this?
What have you been running from?
Well, I think, you know, there were like when I was a boy at that boarding school, there were some dark things that went on, and then losing friends, and I think we all have periods which are extremely difficult and cause us to go into dark places, and we don't know what to do when we're in them. And sometimes I'm not even sure we actually recognize we're in them. We're just fighting to stay, and we eat cake or whatever it is that's helping. It's often in retrospect where you go, "Whoa, that was hard," or we're talking to a friend and we find ourselves talking fast and we start getting emotional, tears pour, and we didn't even know it was there.
No.
And I think a lot of our lives are spent with things going on that we're not hugely aware of, you know. Or they can be real, like cancer or whatever it is we're suffering that's obvious. But there's other stuff,
Right.
that we're processing from long ago that's deep within us, deep. We all have it. And so I suppose I can't put a finger on and say that was the darkest time in my life. But there have been times when I've been aware of it, and it's caused me to seek help or caused me to question or need to process something. And so I think I've drawn on those times. And, you know, and the return to love, you know, the mole says, where did your strength come from? When he reconnects from remembering I am loved.
Yes.
It's that notion of light, a notion of connection, a notion that in spite of everything, you're held, you're known, you're loved.
Has that been the antidote? Has love been the antidote for your mental health?
Yeah, it's been a huge thing. I mean, that vulnerability and the act of it is like a window into a whole new world of existence and possibility and freedom. That you can tell, you can say this, and it's the most courageous thing, and it's just letting a door open. And I used to be terrified of that door because what was going to happen if I dared open it? Like, oh my God, just keep it down and carry on stoically. Yes. And wow, you know, and it's not easy and it's not immediate, but it's this process of discovery that your visceral, raw humanness and humanity is incredible and universal.
Yes.
universal. Like, you're not this free. Everybody, we're all. So just talk about it and connect.
And connect. Has that helped with, because I know anxiety is something that I've
Have you?
had challenges with
Right.
for many years.
Yeah.
I understand this is
Definitely. Huge.
same for you. So how do you manage that? How do you manage your anxiety?
So I remember, I think I've had low level anxiety a lot, and I've managed it in different ways. But then I think that it goes up a level sometimes and presents itself as what I thought I was dying. Like, I thought my heart was going so fast that I was sort of holding onto the wall and like, what is this? And a friend of mine is a doctor, and I called him. I said, I think I might be dying. And he said, describe to me what you feel. I said, my heart's going 1,000 miles. I don't know. I have to cling to it. He said, I think I'm going to talk you down from this. And he said, the first thing you need to do is not be frightened of what you're feeling. Don't be frightened of it. It's okay. And he taught me how to not be fearful of the fear itself. Don't be anxious of your anxiety, because that just means it builds like a wall.
Is there a technique that you could share that was effective for you?
He taught me, well, there was the breathing thing. He said, you're a shallow breather.
Okay. Yes.
So he did the 4 seconds in, hold it, 4 seconds out, and do that for 2 minutes. So I did that. And then we discussed a lot about how anxiety can be triggered by nothing at all. It doesn't need a valid context or circumstance. It can just come out of nowhere, which it still does. Just like, what?
Yes.
What is that?
Yes.
So I do breathing, and I tell myself to not fear it. And there's a page in the book about that. Sometimes things spin out of control, and remember that you are not the storm. It's not you. So it's okay. And then obviously in times when it's not going on, practice things that help you, whether it's meditation, nature, running, some pray, some breathe, some meditate, all these things.
Drawing. Yes.
Connecting with what you love, talking. Don't be frightened of what you feel. Don't be ashamed of what you feel. Music. You're like swimming in cold water. You can encourage the healthy. I'm not a neuroscientist, and I would never pretend to know that I understood these things, but I know what works for me and some of my friends is, I think for me that the journey has been to get to a place where I'm sitting here with you, Paul, and if I wasn't being filmed, I'd say the same thing, which is that open that door and talk about it. I have plenty of friends who didn't, and they're not here anymore, and it nailed them. And I sometimes it's pointless regret. It's a silly thing, but imagine if we'd had the time to really talk about it.
Yes.
It's not weakness. It's not a failing. A lot of men feel like it's such a failing to struggle with this. It's perfectly normal in this world. We live in a crazy world, and if you're sensitive, you feel things. You're going to feel this. It's like you're an extremely connected, brilliant-minded, highly sensitive individual who's bound to feel anxious at times because you care so much. The more you care, I think the more anxious you're going to be about your kids, the world. What's going to happen tomorrow? What's going on here? Like, I think not to feel that is almost being numb. So wow, yeah. But I think it's how we respond to that and how we look after ourselves, that really matters.
Yes.
And I know, sitting here like in saying these words, that I have like such a long way to go. On the way here, I was panicking I was going to miss the train. I forgot to lock the door. I had to zoom back. I had locked it. I just thought I had it. I have that whole thing going on.
Go ahead.
Did I? Okay, I'll go back. Minutes to spare when I arrive at the station. I'm just a sort of stumbling, fumbling, semi-introverted person who is winging it. But I think we're all learning from each other, and the more we can talk about it, the more we'll learn, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, I don't know much, Paul.
But it just acknowledging it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think that's the key to everything is connection, communication, putting your hand up going, this is me.
Right. This is me. Why are we doing this?
Why are we... by the way, I don't mean to get all heavy. Like,
No.
I don't mean to, Paul.
This is a heavy conversation. And
Right.
and what I love most about these conversations is that this is one of those rare opportunities for so many people.
Right.
This is your opportunity to just reflect.
Yeah.
With no judgment whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know, and go back to Zimbabwe and sit there picking the tea, you know. That's what this opportunity is about.
That moment. Okay, so when I was picking the tea, plucking tea is difficult. Like, I earned 1 cent, literally. Everyone else is making $2 a day, which is not much. And I remember this guy, John, who was trying to teach me to pluck. And he was laughing at me because, you know, he was the elegance of his movements was just like a machine. And they were laughing at me. And there was one time at lunchtime when we were all laughing, and I remember John stopping, like he was just looking at me. You know, you get to the moment where this strange pause, and he was nodding, and I was like, "What?" He said, "You're just the same, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "We're just the same. We're all just the same." And it was just like, oh, wow. Humanity. It's just, here's white boy from Battersea, John, sub-Saharan,
Yes.
poverty-stricken, you know. And we had this moment when I went, and that moment lasted and lasted and lasted and lasted. And we were just like, yeah. And I could see his lights going on and mine. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It's interesting. I feel like we do this, we do it to this day, but we have to be fully connected and emotionally aware in order to fully download.
Download.
Yes.
And willing and open.
Yes. There is.
All this division, but come on.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be.
No. I mean, you can argue that we're more divided today than ever. You can really make that argument.
You could, yeah.
Yeah. I also, you know, we haven't talked about, so you were diagnosed with ADHD, is that correct? Or
various people, doctors said, I don't know whether you diagnosed, but yeah, I mean, people have said you're on the spectrum, which I think, fine.
Okay. He's like, yep.
I don't mind that.
This is me.
And it's evident to me that I definitely struggle with it, because in conversations, my brain will drift into 8 different areas, and people will say, is Charlie here today or not?
Well, I see Charlie's definitely here today.
I feel very present here.
You are here.
But sometimes, like I'm just removed. I'm thinking about ideas, or something isn't holding me in the moment.
Okay.
Or I'm unaware that I'm not even there.
I see.
Which is why it shocked me when my friend said, is Charlie here today or isn't he? I'm like, oh, I wasn't aware that I'm sometimes not.
Yeah.
You know, people sort of say, or used to say to me, your attention span is terrible, and yet you managed to do all these drawings. You got to have real attention to do them. And I think I realized that there are things we can do when we struggle with attention issues that hold us, that so absorb us that and it's a place that with drawings, I can just disappear into, and and there's something about, you know, I've got this iPad here where I can scribble on. So I have this, and this, I normally draw with ink, but it's for the sake of argument, I can make marks, and I can similarly do. Sometimes if I'm on the phone, I find myself drawing the boy, on a branch without even realizing without thinking what I'm really doing.
It just, the boy just
Just comes out,
comes.
or or I'll be thinking about talking about what I'm doing in the morning, or someone's talking to me, and I'll be listening, but I'll be this comes out.
Oh, there's the
Do you
horse.
see what I'm saying? So
see it.
but the lines keep me focused.
It's, the lines are actually
Making the marks.
okay.
It's something about making marks that calms me down.
I see. So if you're making, can
and
you make?
holds my attention.
So could you make marks, and the two of us have a conversation at the
Yeah.
same time? You could do that.
Yeah,
Okay. Could we continue our conversation and you
and I'll just keep drawing.
and you doodle a little bit?
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about while doodling. This is probably the best topic, is friendship.
Oh yeah.
With your friends in your friendship circle, what do you do? What's a a Charlie friend hangout? Are you playing poker? Are you watching reality television? What are
We talk. We it varies. My friends are quite eclectic and very different. So we all have and they bring out different parts of me.
Okay.
Which is why when someone dies, you sometimes lose that part of you that they brought out, which really interests me.
That is.
I've lost quite a few friends, and the bits we used to laugh about, and the silly noises we made, and are gone, unless I can. But they're so unique. And when I lost Barney, lovely Barney, my dog, who was also my friend, there was a language I used with him, and I used to say every morning before I fed him, I used to say, "You're an extremely good little chap," right? And I would extend the word extremely, and he'd go crazy with the word extremely, and you're extra, extra, extra special, like that. And it was his language. And what's amazing for me with those words is that Colin, my Irish friend's daughter, Amelia, who's 4, when we were making the book together, sometimes she would say, "How did you speak to Barney?" She's like, "Irish." I say, "You're extreme." And so she now, he films her running around the garden going, "You're extra special. You're extremely good at it." And so for me, that's something that hasn't died. And I suppose friends to me, going back to the original, we can relish the uniqueness of parts of each other that only are there with each other. And I love that. And they're friends who I can, people's, doing nothing with friends is never doing nothing, is it? And that's a line from a book, which I think I like, because you don't need to be doing a thing. You don't need to be going to football or watching, but you can just literally do this and chat or go for a walk and talk about anything. Just sitting in silence is doing an awful lot. You don't need to fill it,
Yes. Now, you mentioned something that's near and dear to my heart, and that was when you said that when someone passes, when a friend passes away, that there's something lost, right?
Yeah.
So often on We Need to Talk, I've referred to a friend of mine named Andre Smith. He was my best friend. He passed away a few years ago. And you said something that now I'm just reflecting on for the first time, and that is that I noticed that there's a part of me that died with him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so I wonder, you said you mentioned you've had many friends who have who have passed.
Too many.
How do you feel like you've properly grieved for them?
That's a great question. I would say, in honesty, no. But I think grief for me is going in installments. And when I was a kid, I had a record by Art Garfunkel, and one of the lines was, "Reality, it's not for me, and it makes me laugh." And I remember thinking, I like that, because reality I can only take in small doses. Otherwise, it gets too much. I think probably the subconscious is quite good on one level about drip feeding stuff to us, because sometimes it's just overwhelming.
Yeah, too much.
Too much. But I think probably what I don't do enough of, which I should probably do, is doing what you and I are doing. That, hence the title of your podcast.
Yes.
Because I think there's something about the act of talking, I think, takes teaspoons of pain out, and it never goes back in. I don't think it ever returns. It's a teaspoon, but it's something.
Yes.
And so the more you talk and process and let go of, and I remember when I was young reading somewhere that so much of life is about letting go, and I got really cross at that. I think, no, it's not. But it is. Learning to let go.
Yes. But we're learning through, as you mentioned, through conversation.
Yes, we are.
Through connection.
Yes.
But what we also know, unfortunately, for men in particular, that our social circles shrink.
Yes, they do.
So as
very
we all get
true, very true.
I mean, for everyone, our social circles shrink when we get older, but it's disproportionate for men.
Yes, it is. Yes, it really is.
Yes.
I read that really recently as well, that the statistics are alarming.
Yeah.
And since COVID, they've got worse.
Yes.
And a good friend of mine the other day, who is so able and capable and bright, and, to anyone looking at him on the surface, he has everything. He just called me up, and then I said, "How are you doing?" He said, "I'm really lonely." Do you get lonely? And I said, "Yeah, I do get lonely." He said, "Well, let's work at not being lonely then." And it struck me, and I thought, it's something that does take effort.
Yes.
That these default relationships, because you're around someone and therefore you don't have to make the effort, there's a different thing. But so many men, I think, someone dies, they move away, this happens, and people, the ground gets thinner humanly. So you need to choose friends and fight for them. Work at it and have the courage. Ever since he said that, I thought, whoa, that was a courageous thing to say.
One could read your books, watch your film, and say, this is spectacular, right? Another could read them, watch, and say, this is a faith-driven message. Where do you sit with faith?
Faith is interesting. I mean, I think I have friends on the whole spectrum of atheism right through to strong faith. The one thing I have strong faith in is that love wins. Whatever that love is, it wins. That loving you, loving my neighbor, having the understanding that putting weapons down and talking wins. That the enemy that has just ripped me off or done something, if I can see round the back and see why, what's the wider context for this, having the faith that if I love him or her, she or he will change, and it will heal our situation. And my biggest struggle, is the idea that I can love myself and my neighbor. I can't do that very well. That's what the journey of this has been all about, is how do you see yourself? How do you hold yourself? How do you value yourself? How do you not throw yourself away in situations? How do you keep believing that you're enough, that you're worth it? And faith plays a huge part in that.
Yes.
I think if you can somehow be grateful for any situation you're in, it's a good thing, and not beat ourselves up.
Yes.
Because I'm a great one for that. You know, in this second book, there's a line where I say, "You'll have critics." Thor says, "You'll have critics. Make sure you're not one of them."
Mm.
Because I can be, here I'm talking to you and I'm trying to give my best side, but I can get home and go, "Oh, Charlie, why did you say that?
Right.
What are you doing? What do you think, and look at you, your jeans. Why get some new jeans?" And I don't know. It's like,
Don't be that critic.
don't be that critic.
Don't be
Give
that.
yourself a break. Give yourself some grace.
This is so poetic because every morning I do, and I've done this now for almost 7 years.
Right.
I try to do it consistently, is a gratitude exercise.
Do you?
So
I love that.
I identify 3 things from the previous day that I'm thankful for. And I'm going to tell you, Charlie, every morning, boom, pop up. Sometimes I have 3, sometimes I have 5, 6, 7. This morning, I don't know what it was. I was struggling.
Were you?
I was struggling. I was thinking, oh my gosh, what am I thankful for yesterday? Like, what was it? What was it? And I ended on, I got through it.
Wow.
I'm here.
Right. There you go.
Right. But it's the basics.
Yeah.
It is I'm breathing.
There you go. Exactly. I'm alive.
Yes.
I can move.
The basics.
The basics.
And you know what that exercise has done for me is it's now almost rewired my mind to look for
Oh, wow.
the moments in the day
Really?
so that the following morning I can now recall that.
Okay, so you can they're lodged in you.
Yes.
Not recognized.
And that wasn't the intention,
Right.
but that's what's happened, which I find to be beautiful. So tomorrow morning I will most likely say, just having that conversation with Charlie, I'm thankful for.
Yeah, well, right now, I'm utterly grateful for it. What I'm scared of is going home going, "Why did you talk about that? And what, really?" That's the critic. And I need to go, "You just sit down, because I'm going to be grateful now for getting there, finding Paul's studio,
Yes.
having the courage to go in the door, find out he's a spectacular human, not screwing up too much in what you said.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, exactly. We need to tell the critic to sit down.
Just sit down a second. Because right now, and anyone who's listening, or watching and isn't too bored by this, just be aware that you're amazing, and breathe and say thank you for being right here, and that you're okay.
I have to say, Charlie, first is I know on behalf of an endless number of people, truly, thank you. Thank you for not just the works, the film, the books, the art, but the warm hug that you have given us. We deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate that. And I know I speak for many, but I'll speak for myself right now and say that, and this is me being bold, this is me being courageous,
Okay.
but I absolutely love you.
Thank you, Paul.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love you too. With what I know of love, I do.
Yes, with what I know about love, and it was actually the mole.
The mole.
The mole. Is the mole everyone's favorite, by the way? Or no?
Not everyone's, but I think a lot of people say, "He's my spirit animal." That's usually the response. The moment Kate comes up, "Oh yeah, that's me."
The mole.
Yeah, the mole.
Because the mole, I believe at one point the mole says, "I'm glad we're here, but really
I'm
wanted
glad
to,
we're all here, and I'm glad you're here.
But-
yeah,
but deep down wanted to say, I love you,
thank you.
but didn't have, and I'm so quick to tell people, and quite honestly, I'm so quick to especially tell men, glad you're here, glad we're here,
Yeah, that's interesting.
but not, you know what, I love you, you know?
Yeah, that's so lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes me a long time to say those things.
I will take this conversation, I'm going to take, truly, and it will stay with me forever.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll remember. I'll remember lots of things about it, but I'll always remember how you made me feel rather than what was said, primarily. I'll go away from here feeling loved and really grateful that I came. So thank you. Thanks
Thank you.
Thanks for showing me.
Thank you. Can I see, what have you been doodling on over there? Are you done?
5 minutes a day. Get a blank pad,
Okay.
right, and a soft pencil, and just for 2 minutes draw something, even if it's abstract. Make some marks. It can be words or a drawing, or it can be one of your kids, or it can be anything. And then you can either throw it away, don't criticize it, do it, and leave it. Tear it out and put it in the drawer, and do that every day.
Every day.
Every day.
And then should I go back and reflect?
If
and
you
look
want to.
Okay, but it's not necessary.
Think of it like training for a game. You're practicing. You don't need to go and look back at what you're
Right.
practicing.
That's
But in the same breath, if you enjoyed it and you want to, there's no rules. There's no rules. You can do what you want. You're free to look at them or not. But what I would say is just enjoy the process rather than trying to get a result. So see the process as an end, and it's how you feel when you make the marks is what it's about, rather than what the marks look like at the end.
yes.
So the process is enough, rather than how does it look now.
Then the destination. Right.
100%. And I know that's a cliche, but with drawing, I really believe that's true. Like I think if you can enjoy how it feels, it becomes like it's addictive. And take it with you when you're on a journey. Draw the back of the driver's head, or draw what you see over there, or draw what you feel. I'm anxious. Draw the anxiety.
Yes.
In lines. I did a drawing last night, and I drew all these trees, crazy trees, and because I was feeling anxious about getting a train to come here, and then I did a tiny leaf falling, and the mole says, "That's how you feel, but the leaf is all we see." So all this turmoil is outside. So talk about it. Talk about it.
Okay. Which goes to the connection that we talked about.
Which goes to connection. So, but I was started by just scribbling out. Here it is. Look, I'll show it to you.
Oh, wow.
That was last night.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and this could be what you feel.
This could be what you feel.
And this leaf is all we see, and there's the leaf. So tell us. So we can't see this. We can only see really that.
That, yes.
So what are you feeling right now? Because you need to communicate this.
I see it.
And so all I'm saying is that's what I drew last night. But it began with oh no, oh my gosh, I've got to get a train, and then I'm gonna have to talk to Paul. Is he gonna ask me questions I can't answer? All the
Yes, exactly.
And you beat yourself into a state of anxiety. So I drew it.
Thank you so much.
Oh, do you want to see the drawing?
Can we see? Can we see it?
It's not very, just that again.
You did it again. You
Sit down.
You did it again.
Okay. It says,
Oh my gosh. One day you'll look back and see how hard it was and just how well you did. Oh my goodness. That is beautiful.
Do you want me to send it to
Please.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. I
Oh
can
my
email it
gosh.
to you now if you want.
Oh, please. Please send that.
But we can't say our email address yet.
Okay,
can
yeah.
we? You'll want Paul's email address. I'll send it to you for sure.
Okay.
Now,
All right, super. Thank you.
Thank
That is it. Yeah, that was lovely.
thank you for having me, and I hope it's made some sense.
Oh my gosh. It was beautiful. It was everything it was supposed to be.
Really?
It was everything it was supposed to be.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I've loved it, and your chair's very comfy, and you're so easy to talk to. I mean, everyone will say that,
Oh my gosh.
and you're doing such a great thing.
I
Such an important thing, this.
thank you. I feel this is my art.
Yeah,
If
well,
you
you're
will.
good at it. Sit down,
Thank you.
critic.
Yes.
You're brilliant.
Sit down, critic.
Sit down.
Sit down.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Sean. I love Charlie Mackesy. I do. One of my favorite conversations, not just of We Need to Talk, one of my favorite conversations in life.
Do these conversations ever make you reflect on your life?
All the time. While I'm in conversation, many times, I often want to start reflecting on my own life, but I realize at the moment I do that, I'm leaving the moment with the guest, and I don't want to. I'm trying my hardest to stay present fully, but when I leave, it will just play out in my mind. You know, what I notice about these conversations is that I feel like the guest opens the door of vulnerability and then closes it. And some guests keep it open for longer, but then eventually it closes and then you have to work yourself back out to a place of vulnerability. Charlie came in and he said, I'm going to open myself up to you. And he never shut the door, ever shut the door. And you can see him reflecting on moments in life that he had not ever. And it just shows you how profound having a conversation is. And he said that over and over again. A conversation can change your life. And I think this changed his life, and I know it changed mine. It's going to stay with me forever.